Welcome back. Transurfing Yourself, new mannequin. Last time we concluded that for the rebirth of a new self, a change of program is required. Instead of contemplating one's gradual degradation and degeneration and agreeing with this process, an unwavering commitment to regeneration is necessary. Notice how the aging program works. This is really important. You have to let go of what you think you know and pay attention to what's actually in front of us. First, we're instilled with the idea that everyone ages and degrades with time. You agree with this because life, with rare exceptions, demonstrates that it's so. So we look around us, we see people age, we see them degrade, and we assume that we're going to follow that path. But there are exceptions after all. We had Jack LaLanne towing a boat with his teeth when he was like 90. There's other exceptions that are much better hidden. Because these exceptions demonstrate what the rule truly is. When people at 70 look like 30 or 20, it's because they have a different lifestyle, different nutrition, different ways of thinking. So something is wrong with the program that we're running. Further, with age, you observe that you too are changing for the worse. This gives us confirmation that the program we're running of aging is normal, regular, and fixed. So, you look in the mirror, you agree with the program, you agree you're degrading, you agree you're degenerating, and again, you find confirmation through feedback. Therefore, the program works cyclically and inexorably. But now a window of opportunity is opened where the program can be hacked and replaced with another. Now, consciously and intentionally set your program for revival, and similarly contemplate your reflection and find confirmation that this will not be long in coming. The main thing to enter the program cycle first, you want to declare your goal. You really need to go where you're going. You need to know where you're going. And then you have a statement of progress. I declare thought forms for regeneration. I observe changes and state that there are indeed shifts. I really start to look younger and feel better. This program will work just as inexorably or as predictably as the prior program, but this one's more true. And this one actually benefits you. One of the things I would throw in there is what he's really saying is set a goal that you're going to reach quickly. You want that confirmation bias to be able to build the momentum. So an easy goal is I have more energy. My body repairs better during sleep. So you're going to have a small goal that's going to have big results. It's going to snowball. Having more energy, oh, that's not a small goal. It actually is, because one of the fastest things to turn around when your mind begins to heal is your energy, because you're not fighting yourself as much. And then everything can build from there. So now we're going to get back to our usual story. A few words what a mannequin is. How do dream characters differ from living people? They have no self-awareness. They do not perceive themselves as personalities. They have no will. They are not free in their actions, but are subordinate to the script. They have no soul. They are just templates, mannequins. We sometimes call them NPCs, non-playable characters. Some of you may be familiar with that. On the film reels stored in the archive of eternity, you have your own mannequins. When you watch one of these reels in a dream, your consciousness finds its mannequin, which comes to life and begins to move. As long as you are dreaming, you live in the body of the dream mannequin, as if one of many variants. Look in the mirror in a dream sometime, and you won't recognize yourself. The same thing happens on the film reel in which your life moves. Your consciousness enters the next version of the mannequin, which comes to life and becomes you in the current frame. We could think of it kind of like VR. We put on a headset and we're in a different character. It is possible to set not only reality, it is possible to set yourself, your mannequin. The mannequin will change in the process. By moving through a series of film reels and reflections, you will become different as you dreamed of seeing yourself. Suppose you want to acquire a beautiful body, transform yourself into a charming and in all respects pleasant person, a little more challenging for some of us than others. Become a highly paid professional in some field. In essence, this means entering your other improved mannequin on a fundamentally different film reel. Such a mannequin and such film reel really exist, you can be sure. You just need to get there. This is heavily emphasized in the Tufte books, especially the live walkthrough movie. So I'm going to go backwards to everything. But since Vadim says this is the most important book right now, you're getting this one first. Despite all physical limitations, the body of your mannequin can be significantly improved. More precisely, it will be a different mannequin that you need to enter. With due persistence, anything is possible, including reversing the aging process. Your physical parameters are embedded in DNA, but far from all, DNA cannot contain enough information to define all the nuances of your portrait. It contains only the main characteristics that define what make you human, or a snail, as well as what, in a rough approximation, distinguishes you from others like you. More precisely, DNA information is barely enough to describe an embryo. And where's everything else? The rest remains a mystery for official science, as it does not want to admit the existence of the information space that we call the archive of eternity. So, a significant part of the information about your project is contained in that very information space, and this project can be corrected. And now the technique for setting a new mannequin. When you take a bath, don't waste time. Activate the plate or the braid. This, again, goes back to Tufte. If you don't know the braid, there will be exercises in this. There will be exercises elsewhere. This is the last time I'll remind you of that. I'm going to continue to use the words braid and plate interchangeably. The word that they're using in this is tuft, and that's not really a good translation of anything. So the wall of the bath is not an obstacle for the braid. And set yourself, your new mannequin. Proclaim the declaration of intent. Don't overdo it. It's enough to concentrate for 1 to 3 minutes, and then release the braid and lie calmly in the bath for 10 minutes. What does this give? Here, not only the braid works, but also water, which, as you know, readily absorbs information from your thought forms. Water does not send intention into space. It has a different function here. Water first records the information you set onto itself, and then literally saturates all of your energetic bodies with this information. It does this very effectively. Thus, you are completely charged, saturated with the information you set. If you do not have a bath, there's another option, a contrast shower. It will also be useful to take it after a bath. First, warm up with hot water for a couple of minutes, and then you turn the cold water on for no more than a minute. And so several times, 3 or 4, at least once, which is enough. The sharper the temperature contrast, the better. But more importantly, you should not experience any obvious discomfort so as to not harm your health. You don't need to activate the braid during the procedure because it will be more difficult to concentrate than in the bath. But a contrast shower sharply increases your energy. And that's why after turning off the water, stand calmly, concentrate, activate the braid, and declare your intention to yourself or aloud. All this will work even without a braid, if you don't have one. But I still advise you to master the braid. With it, this technique works very powerfully. There's an explanation of the braid in Appendix 3. Now more about mannequins. In the book, Tufte the Princess Walking Alive in a Movie. Also pay attention to the chapter Thought Markers. There you will find additional information on correcting your project, on stating, and why thought markers work more strongly than thought forms. Summary. Instead of contemplating one's gradual degradation and agreeing with the process, cultivate an unwavering commitment to regeneration. Enter the program cycle. First, declaration of the goal, and then confirmation of progress. Declarations and confirmations can be proclaimed in thoughts or aloud, but for greater effectiveness, it's better to use the technique of setting a new mannequin, in a bath or in a shower. Your physical parameters are partly embedded in DNA, but far from all. DNA information is barely enough to describe an embryo. A significant part of the information about your project is contained in the information space. The project can be corrected. I'm just going to circle back to something here because he mentions how much DNA is not being activated. It's amazing when we really think about it because we're able to pull this whole thing off using a fraction of our DNA. Like the caterpillar can't see the butterfly, we cannot imagine what the unlocking of the rest of the DNA is. That's a blueprint to another function of ourselves that we haven't unlocked. And then there's the individuality and what's not contained in the physical space. But that is something to be discovered by all of us. Questions and feedback. And I feel that changes in my body have been happening for 3 years now. And I just caught myself thinking that I'm returning to life, like in childhood. And I also spent my childhood in forests and fields, snow and puddles. And now I'm almost 40, but I feel much healthier than the period from 17 to 30. There was some difficult period of health decline, and for the last 9 years I've been returning, and especially intensely for the last 3 years. Now, no one will convince me that everything is bad. I enjoy the energies that have come and continue to come to Earth, and I anticipate what will happen next. With the help of Transurfing, I transformed my life from hell into a cozy corner where everything is great, and setting goals for next year again. I caught myself thinking that my main message is health, high energy, and awareness. In general, not some material things, but first of all, work with state and work with body. So they allow me to live brightly, approximately like in childhood, and get the maximum ecological pleasure from life. How much longer will the transition last? Will we make it? Answer: we will. The new era will last 2,000 years, and the transition period will continue for some indefinite number of years, perhaps decades. The exact timing is unknown. Increased power. Finally, another useful technique with a contrast shower. The energy immediately after this procedure increases, and this surge can be used to set some practical goals. One such goal is to acquire the ability to wake up in a waking dream. To really wake up and on time, for this you need to have enough powerful energy, and to have power you also need to set it. While taking a shower, think about the goal you want to set. As soon as you turn off the water, close your eyes. Take a deep breath, and then with an intense exhale, sharply open your eyes and simultaneously activate the tuft. The goal should still be present in your thoughts as a background. Activate the plate or activate the braid. Now with the braid active, clearly and convincingly pronounce the declaration of your goal, aloud or to yourself. For example, here's a good thought form to use. I am pure, powerful, and awakened. Again, I am pure, powerful, awakened. Why pure? Because in pure body, energy flows in a free and powerful stream. Why powerful? To have the strength to open the gates of dreaming. Why awakened? In order to truly wake up, you can and should set yourself as awakened. Also pay attention to your fingers. What position are they in? If you manage to concentrate, your fingers will spontaneously fold into certain mudras, or concentrations, or combinations. That will correspond to the set goal. You don't need to do anything with this, just observe. If the entire body is permeated by the goal setting, then the goal will be achieved. At the end of the session, don't forget to deactivate the braid. Thus, by working with the physics of the body and the metaphysics of the mind, you gain the power that will be sufficient to control a conscious waking dream. Questions and feedback. What if the brain is stuck in a program of suffering and simply doesn't want to believe in good things? Let's say during a declaration, it just doesn't feel happiness. Answer: in such a state, you cannot declare anything. First, you need to get out of depression. The most effective way is to take care of your health. Physical culture. I'd like to expand on this. Another way is to bring gratitude into your life. And another way is deeply from my own history of depression. Cultivating self-love. When I was depressed, I did not want to be myself. I wanted to be anyone but myself. Anxiety is similar, but it's a different flavor. At this point in my life, there's no one I'd rather be. Honest to God, all the tea in China, you would not get me to give up being this person. So, depression is recognizing that you're not authentically playing the character that's true to you. You've sold yourself out to become someone that you believe other people want you to be. It's true to varying degrees, and it's something that has to be calibrated person to person. But if you're stuck in that rut, reach out to me, because there's no reason you should be. And frankly, people go their entire lives. It's tragic. I have other videos on this. There's no reason you should still be stuck there.